Yo, what's good, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sisters review. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to. But if not, just sit back, relax while we get into this messy thing. Y'all, we made it. We are finally done with season 7 of Sisters, and this is the review for season 7 season finale. I'm not gonna go in any particular order, so this is not gonna be, in the order in which the scenes happen on Wednesday night episode. I'm just gonna, talk about what I want to talk about in the order that I want to talk about them. So first and foremost, let's just get Sabrina and Damani and Rich out of the way, okay? Sabrina, approach the bench, ma'am. With this particular scene here, I was so embarrassed for Sabrina because I'm looking at Rich, who all of a sudden now, as I stated, if you happen to see our Sisters Keeper Wednesday night with me and Erica Vane, all of a sudden he wants to be a baby daddy. It has just now, bit him in the behind. When the entire time of us being introduced to this character, the entire time of us knowing him, Rich has not wanted children. And it seemed like in the past month, every time he's talking about children to Sabrina or his friends Tony and Jordan, there is a different excuse as to why he doesn't, or not even an excuse, because he doesn't have to, want children. That's his right. But it changes every time we see him talking about this particular topic. And so on the season finale, it was no different. Now all of a sudden he can't imagine Sabrina carrying another man's child. He can't imagine another man's sperm inside of her. He's just so gung-ho on the fact that now he wants this. And in my personal opinion, nothing has changed about that. Rich is definitely exemplifying qualities of fear, and he doesn't want to lose Sabrina, which I can understand. But at the same time, don't make her feel like you're on board to her dreams and her purpose of motherhood when that's really not what you want. And those are the vibes I get from Rich. I don't trust him. I don't like him, especially the fact that, he told his boys he kind of felt like Sabrina was trying to trap him. And then he insinuated that to Sabrina, when the whole time he's the one who is concealing the information that one of the last times he and Sabrina had sex, the condom came off. He has yet to tell this woman this, but yet professes how much he loves her. And I'm like, no, you're just a little threatened by Damani. Because, unlike the random sperm donors, you're able to see this man close up and personal. You're able to see what he looks like, how he dresses, his profession, all of those things. And I just, I want better for Sabrina. It ain't like Sabrina my favorite, nothing like that, but she is part of the sister circle. And it's like, sis, I just want better for you. I really do. And Rich is not it. Rich is not it. I did have some people hit me up in my DM about, how is it that Sabrina can feel this way about Rich, but, she was standoffish in her emotions for Calvin. And I'm like, these are two different individuals. I don't think so. I think Sabrina liked Calvin, but, he was just something to do. That sounds really bad. But I think Sabrina viewed Calvin more of a friend than a lover. She had her reasons for doing so, and, I respect her reasons, but I'm sorry. Her and Calvin was just never going to work at all. So moving right on along, let's go to Zach and Fatima. Now, I ain't going to lie. They didn't have a really, major part of the season finale, but they got on my nerves a little bit. They definitely got on my nerves a little bit, especially when Danny and Karen called. But before we get to that, Zach is, flushed and frustrated because for a moment of time, he was trying to reach Fatima and he was unable to reach her. So Fatima reveals to him that, she went to go see Gary and things got physical. And of course, Zach responded like any other man would. He's upset. He wants to retaliate. He wants to push him around his weight a little bit about another man, touching his woman. And rightfully so. I completely understand that. And I said this when I did my trailer breakdown. When the character of Fatima does things, she doesn't always think things through. She just doesn't. And for her to walk around and portray to be so gangster with her, movements or with her actions and her connections, she doesn't think well. Like, she just doesn't think these things all the way through. Because I just feel like Fatima does things, and she definitely sometimes puts Zach in a, interesting position. Now, one of the things that I really do want to see from Fatima, and I might not ever get it, and that's perfectly fine. I'm cool with that. And just like with the other women, I do want to see Fatima value herself more. When she made the statement to Zach how he has all of these things to lose, that he has Michael, he has the twins. And I'm thinking, what about you? Why don't you, all of a sudden, she's supposed to be pregnant too, but we still see homegirl drinking and all of this stuff like that. And I know some people going to tell me, well, she pregnant on Zatima. Zatima and Sista's storylines and their timelines, they're not that far-fetched. If Karen is 7 months pregnant, Fatima should be showing, but that's for the writers to, attempt to make that to make sense to us. But anyway, I want her to value herself. I want her to deem the things that she's doing as valuable things to lose. She's a paralegal. She is in law school. She's trying to become a lawyer. Why don't those things matter to her? Why doesn't she value those things as, maybe I need to check how I'm moving because I don't want to be in a position that my dreams and my goals are not obtained because I'm, thinking irrationally, or I'm making emotional decisions because I love, Zach, or because I care about Andi. I just want her to just, think more of herself. And I really hope that the writers give Fatima a storyline in season 8, because homegirl ain't had a storyline, I don't think, since she's been on the show, to be perfectly honest. But that's neither here nor there. I've accepted it. I've accepted it. So then we get to the part where Karen calls. She calls Zach. And, we find out that Karen somehow was able to view Andi's calendar. And she knows that Gary and Andi are getting married that night. She just doesn't know the location. So she is telling Sabrina and Danny this. So they call Fatima, I'm sure, to find out, what information she knows. And so when she calls, Zach answers, and, Karen says, is Fatima there? Can I speak to her? And Zach is like, this sounds like a setup. Why does it sound like a setup? When everything is peaceful between them, they, made good at the baby shower / gender reveal. They had their nonverbal cues, their verbal cues with each other. We saw Fatima being protective of a pregnant Karen. We saw them put whatever they had aside for the greater good, at that particular time. There was no beef. There were no issues. And so when Zach tells Fatima that Karen and Danny are on the phone, she says, for what? And I'm like, how did we get here? How did we get back here? Why would that be a question for her? Why wouldn't she just take the phone and see what the hell they wanted? And once it was revealed to us that Fatima knows this information, I'm like, what the hell you think they were calling for, Fatima? Not to chop it up with you? And I thought it was rather telling that Fatima had this information and did not say anything to Sabrina, Danny, and Karen. She tells us that, Andi made her promise not to say anything. And my thing was, since when do you listen to Andi like that? Especially when you know she's about to make a horrible, life-changing, life-altering decision. And just as we stated on our Sister's Keeper, it's a whole lot of people out there that owe my girl Karen an apology. Because at that first farce of a wedding with Gary and Andi, oh my God. She was jealous. She was insecure. She wanted Gary. The fandom went in when Sabrina gonna take her little ditzy self over there and ask Karen, was she jealous of Andi? I'm like, jealous of what? The fact that Andi is with an abuser? Why would she be jealous of that? But the fandom took that moment and ran with it. People was dogging the character of Karen. Well, if that was my friend, I would have stayed. I wouldn't have liked it, but I would have stayed. Excuse me? And so I found it rather interesting that everybody who was supporting Andi at wedding number 1 was now on board with what Karen was feeling at wedding number 1. I thought that was rather interesting. Nobody apologized. Nobody even brought it up. But I'm going to bring it up because I remember sometimes having a fight for my life in these comments about how Karen was jealous of Andi. I just thought it was actually hilarious that people thought that. But I felt like this was a precursor. I felt like this was a look into what we may be getting at season 8 with the whole Fatima, Danny, and Karen of it all. Because I really felt like the only reason why Danny was even attempting to get close to Fatima was to piss Karen off. And now that her and Karen seems to be in a great place, I think it's going to change the dynamic between Fatima and Danny. But we have to wait to see, what pans out with that. But I really just thought it was interesting that that's how, that's the energy that Zach and Fatima had when Karen called, especially knowing that Danny was on the call with her. But moving right along, let's get to Andi becoming partner. I saw on social media a lot of people, were happy that Andi became partner. I'm not in the least bit. What the hell did Andi do to become partner? Like, let's be real. If you look that, let's just take the latest, case. With Miss Marie, we have seen Andi come to work late. Every time Miss Marie is at that law firm, she is waiting for Andi to walk up behind and through them doors. Andi was always late. There was one time that Hayden had the upper hand on Andi when it came to the research for this case and getting information. Andi was a piss poor lawyer when it came to this case, if we could just be all the way honest. And the only reason why she had the big up is because Maurice is the person who gave her the information and dropped the dime on Miss Marie's ex-husband. Maurice, a person who she looks down on. Now, don't get me wrong, Andi made me very happy that episode when she went off on Maurice, because Maurice was being a complete itch with a B in front of it, because Andi didn't have to help him. And as she stated, Sabrina is my friend. I don't know you like that. And I appreciated her putting Maurice in her place, in his place, excuse me. But Andi really does look down on him. And characters like Pam, like she really has this air about herself. And I'm like, he's pretty much the reason that you're partner now. And I wonder what's going to happen with it. I wonder if we're going to see a Maurice, thank you. I'm forever indebted. I appreciate you. You don't know what that information did for my career. I wonder if we'll see that in season 8. More than likely we won't. But Andi becoming partner, I just look at Danny, Sabrina, Karen, even Fatima, and I'll use that more like with her schooling. Everybody is struggling or in a conflict or in a battle professionally. And Andi just gets given the partner position. I felt it was undeserving. It wasn't warranted. And no, I'm not happy for her. I'm not hating on the chick, but no, I'm not. Well, what did she do? Like, honestly, Hayden is, aggravating and irritating out of this world. But if I had to choose between Hayden and Andi being partner, I'm going to go with Hayden. That's just me. That's just me. Speaking of Hayden, Hayden and Tamara, y'all, that scene, I said, you know what? This is real life, though. I'm like, because you'll have a couple and both of them cheating, but then they get mad and act like they hurt when they find out the other one cheating too. Why? Why are we wasting our emotions on this situation? Leave. If you got to cheat, just leave. But when Hayden found, first of all, I said to Tamara, where was this video, ma'am? Was it right when you open your phone? Like, what's going on? Hayden sees the video of Tamara and Gary having sex. And of course, his ego is bruised, because you got to watch another man give it to your girlfriend and give it to her well, I'm sure. Okay? Now, everybody, Hayden and Tamara are no longer married. You got to look at the episode earlier in the season when they talked about the marriage being annulled. Now, they didn't spend a lot of time on it. It was a real, they just talked about it. They put it out there and left it alone and didn't bring it up again. So I understand why a lot of people were missing that. But yes, it was discussed on the show. Hayden and Tamara are not married. Then we see Tamara crying. I'm like, what you crying for? You crying because you got caught? You crying because you're about to lose Hayden? Or you're crying because you're about to lose this lifestyle that you have grown accustomed to? And I think it's the latter. Because once Hayden finds out, he kicks Tamara out of his home. And I can't say that I blame him. And I don't know what he's upset for. Because we see this brother, boo-hoo, snot, dripping, crying, beating the mess out his steering wheel because he's hurt. And because he's mad. What are you hurt for? Now, I know some people, and brother, I don't know your name. But he was telling me that that Hayden felt that Gary was a friend. He confided in him. Now, honestly, from my perspective, like, I respect his opinion, but I don't believe that Hayden looked at Gary as a friend. I think he understood who Gary was. I think that he understood that Gary had a certain power and connections that he didn't. But I don't think he ever viewed him as a friend. Not at all. I really don't. But I believe that ego was bruised, though. Like, I don't believe, like, oh, my friend betrayed me. I don't get those vibes. I just get that maybe he didn't expect Gary to do that because they were in partnership. But at the end of the day, it's Gary. It's like a snake. People can say, oh, that snake's so pretty. Look at the colors. And then when it bites you, you get shocked. Why? A snake is still a snake, regardless of how pretty it looks. You know what I'm saying? And Gary is a demon snake. He all of the above. Everything that's not good, that's what Gary represents. So the fact that Hayden would even believe that Gary could not stab him in the back is beyond me. That's why this ain't the life for Hayden. You just stick to being a tax attorney and just getting your money. Okay, because that's where your lane is, Hayden. Y'all, Danny and Tony. Y'all know I don't like sticking up for Danny or taking up for her. But I was like, where is the Danny I was expecting? I was expecting to see a certain Danny that did not make an appearance on Wednesday night's episode. Because when Tony bought his little fine, sexy chocolate stuff up in there, I am totally surprised that it never came up about him exiting her apartment butt naked. He chose to leave her house in his birthday suit so that he would not have to communicate with her about the ex-wife and everything that was going on with that. Everything about that situation was a red flag to me. Everything was a red flag. So in the midst of their conversation, we find out that, Major Hamilton is going to Italy and the kids are going back with her. I said, okay, writer, so y'all just gonna make it easy. Just, ship off everybody to Italy, as if Major Hamilton's phone doesn't work in Italy. She can still send him naked pics and everything else. Like, what is that going to do? I just really didn't appreciate the fact that in the previous episode, not Wednesday night, but before, we saw Tony legit gaslight Danny, make her feel like her feelings were not valid. And she's not wrong. First of all, your ex-wife showed up to my house unannounced. I never gave her my address. Then I'm telling you my concerns about her sending, nude or breast pics to you, and you try to completely, diminish what I'm saying or act like it's no big deal. It's so interesting to me how gung-ho Danny can be about certain things, but when it comes to Tony, she's just, I don't know. I was expecting more. I really felt like in this episode, the way that the two writers who wrote this episode, fashioned and formed these characters, it was like, who are these people? And why is this happening? I said that a lot within the episode, but I just didn't buy the whole Danny and Tony reconciling. And, her telling him, hurry back after he said he's going to be gone a couple of days to help them pack. It just seemed very out of character for her, in my opinion. Hurry back, child. And I agree with a lot of people on social media. They was like, did y'all see how Tony looked before he walked out of the house? He looked like he was giving it a last look over it, like he wasn't coming back. And if it wasn't for the fact that this character has been made a series regular, I would have felt the same way, because when I watched the episode, I was like, why he look like that? I've given that look before where I knew, yep, this is going to be my last day here. They just don't know it yet. I've had moments like that, and that's the exact look that Tony gave before he walked out of Danny's home. Y'all, Jordan, Andi, and Gary. All right. Now, we see Gary laid out here on this floor with this knife in his chest / shoulder. I don't even know where the knife is positioned, but we ain't finna get on that just yet. Jordan arrives at this church, and he knows something is up. And I will say this character has gotten better. This actor has gotten better later in the episodes. I buy the fact that the character loves Andi and the character really wants to be with her. I still don't get the chemistry. I don't believe they have the best chemistry, but the way he was acting on Wednesday night, I believed what he was saying. And I was so irritated with the scene because them two talking literally took up like 2 minutes and 50 seconds. For what? For what? Okay. I don't even want to hash it up what they were talking about, because it didn't matter. Then we get this montage, this quick montage. I said, what the hell is this? Why are we doing why are we doing this? It was so interesting. Then, as you know, Andi tells him that she loves him with all her heart. You're such a good man. Remember that. Don't allow what I'm doing to make you change. I said, girl, what? I was so flabbergasted watching this. Let me get through. Y'all know I have not done a episode review in a long time. I just do like certain scenes. So I'm trying to get through this. This is why I don't do it. Because I just get irritated thinking about some of the stuff that happened. But fast forward, they're waiting for Gary to come out. Gary doesn't come. Andi goes to look for him, and she see him sprawled out on this floor, bleeding with this knife on him. And I said, writers, I am not about to spend season 8 with the question of who killed Gary. Y'all better wrap it up. If he is in fact dead, y'all better wrap it up by episode 2 of season 8, because I can't. First of all, no one cares about Gary that much. And I know y'all have listened to me, and I have talked about how much I like Cheeto, and I have enjoyed the character of Gary and his villain era and all of that stuff like that. And I have. But I don't care about the character that much to spend a whole season trying to figure out who took him out. We don't care. He dead. No one cares. But I'm gonna leave it with here, and I'm gonna close this, this service out on this here. If in fact Gary is dead, because some people believe that he's not dead and that he is yet alive. All right, that's one theory. Some people believe that Andi is dreaming. That's another theory. And if the writers have gone with that theory of Andi dreaming, we need to jump them. Okay, we need to ride at dawn and go pay some people a visit. Okay, now I'm joking. I'm joking, because it's some crazy fans out there. If in fact Gary is dead, with all of his connections to the cartel and these shady things that he's done, when it comes to Jordan and Andi,
Molly, you in danger, girl.
And I'm gonna leave it at that. And I wanna thank you guys for listening. I wanna thank you guys for your patience too, because if you have been riding with me, you know that this season it's been a lot of stuff going on with me that I haven't shared everything, but it's been a lot, and I have not been putting out videos like I once did, but I'm getting back into the swing of things, and I have a lot of messages, and I plan on answering them in video forms when it comes to SISTAS. I'm also going to be publishing my personal channel. That'll come up probably sometime next week, but I'll put more information on my community tab. But there are a lot of questions I have received concerning SISTAS. And one of the first videos I'm going to do is I was asked, which season of SISTAS did I enjoy better, season 6 or season 7? And I'm going to say, even though this season got on my nerves, I enjoyed season 7 more than I enjoyed season 6. I can't even remember what happened in season 6. That's how much I struggled with it, and that's how much I was wanting it to be over. This season, I'm not going to go too much. I'm going to do the video, but this is something I did talk about on Our Sister's Keeper, so it's already out there. One thing I really did appreciate about this season was we didn't have to deal with the repetitive dialogue, because that is something that boils my grits, okay? That is something that irritates the hell out of me, and we didn't get that in this season. So that's one of the major props I will give the writers. I do appreciate that. So you guys just be on the lookout for that video, and I'm really going to go in detail, so it might be a long one. But I really do appreciate everybody for listening, for those who agree with me, for those who don't agree with me, for those who really can't stand me, you just spectate and listen anyway. I still appreciate you, sis or bro. I appreciate the view, but yeah, it's certain things I'm gonna talk about that as well, dealing with people who don't agree, and just dealing with the sister fandom, you know what I'm saying, in this platform of YouTube and doing these reviews. But I appreciate everybody who listen, whether you comment or not, whether you like it or not. I don't really care about that, but I just thank you for taking the time to listen to my perspective. So until next time, I will holler at y'all later, and y'all be safe out there. Bye.